Hey, here's another tip for teen parent. This is my 2.0 version for why things are going well at home, but not in the lesson. So I touched on a lot of really great points, but here's another reason why that happens. Okay, so here's the scenario. You come into your lesson and we're working on twinkles. And the child plays twinkles for me, and we get from that open E to that third finger D, right? And the child cannot remember to go from E to D. Now this, I have to make another video. E to D in itself is difficult, so that has its own problems. But let's say we work through all the technical difficulties there. So from E to D, and the child cannot remember to play D. And the reason why is because I'm not telling them to play the D. I'm not giving them the answer. But at home all week, the parent was giving the answer to the child. So every time we got to E, the child stops. I don't know what comes next. Oh, it's a D. It's a third finger. Okay. Now, giving an answer all the time is not teaching. And so that's why when you come into the lesson, the child can't remember it because the parent is not giving them the answer. They actually haven't learned what the next finger is. So when you learn something new, it's stored in your short-term memory. And in order to make it a lasting memory, something that you've mastered and you can do on your own, you have to get it to your long-term memory. And that only happens if we allow the new concepts to get a little bit rusty, to forget them a little bit. And then through the process of trying to remember them, to recall them, that struggle that happens when you can't quite get that answer, that's when we're strengthening the connections. That's when we're putting it into our long-term memory and making it something solid that we can bring up again and again and again without any issues. So if you're at home and you're practicing with your child, you're always telling them which finger to play instead of giving them some time to try to work it out on their own. They never get that chance to struggle, and we never strengthen that memory. It never gets to the long-term memory. The other thing that happens is that they rely on you to give them the answers. So they know when they get into trouble, you're going to be right there to help them get them out of it. And so sometimes children just stop trying to find the answer themselves altogether, and it's really bad, just for them in general, for life, not just learning the violin. So when you're at home, teaching is not giving the child the answer. So try to, the first time it happens, you can give them a reminder, fine. But the next time it happens, just sit there for a minute and let them try to work it out on their own. The next best thing might be singing it instead of giving the answer. That helps train their ears so they can find it on their own. Let them try through trial and error. But you need to get to a point where you stop reminding them what the actual finger number is and where you're not singing it, so that they can try to work it out on their own. And then if you get to that point, try to give hints, but don't give them the actual answer. Try to ask a question to point them in the right direction rather than actually giving them the answer all the time. So that's what's happening. So at home, you might be actually giving them the answer. They're not remembering it. It's not getting to their long-term memory because you fill them in every time that they miss it. And then when they come to the lesson, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give them the answer every time. And then it shows, this is not really in there. This has not been mastered or memorized. So consider that when you're practicing at home with your children. Thanks for watching.